Hi, welcome to Coffee with Selection Basketball. And what a treat. We have our guest, Lotus, has been on a few times, and she has had such a huge response from our community here that we decided to come on and do some more education and some more training on energy.
Today on Coffee with Kim, coming from California, is Lotus Goldcool. Lotus was raised near the California redwoods, and at an early age of 10, she had the influence and instruction of her mother in sidereal astrology, yoga, and being with nature. Now Lotus is an author, healer, and teacher as she now empowers people around the world using her degree in psychology and her many certification in other healing modalities such as yoga, theta healing, conversational hypnotherapy, and using these to help others find their true self. Lotus lives by the belief that all healing comes from within. Join me in welcoming Lotus to Coffee with Kim.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Kim. It's so nice to be back.
Oh, it's so nice to have you back. We have had such great response, and you were telling me the other day when we were talking, you're like, Kim, I've had so many people reach out from the shows.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's such a gift, and you do such a great job at honoring the people who come on your shows. I think people really get a chance to know who these people are and understand where they come from.
Well, I love what I do, and I love guests like you that come on and you share so freely. One of the things I wanted to say at the beginning, but we had a few little technical things at the last minute. But as a little girl, I looked at horoscopes, right? And I looked at all of these different things, and I'm seeing headlines now, like from Forbes and, well-known health organizations who are really coming out now and talking about energy healing.
Right.
And, I've mentioned before, I'm a Reiki master. So I have a special place in my heart, and I'm also open to learning some other modalities as well. But, we have, you came on before and we talked about the stars and the moon and how this all affects our bodies.
Yeah.
We are energy. It's been scientifically proven. We are frequency, we are energy. And I really want you to kind of start showing them some of the new things that you keep unraveling. So
Yeah.
if anybody hasn't heard about you or heard from you, give them a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so I utilize the power of the most accurate astrological system on the planet. It's based on the actual location of the stars. And I don't know if your audience knows this, but Western astrology is actually based, and this is kind of like a jaw dropper, on where the stars were 2,000 years ago. And so what happened is Western astrologists didn't know about precession, which is that every 72 years, the constellations are moving 1 degree. And so after 2,000 years, there is now a gap of 24 years or 24 degrees between the actual signs. So what in Western astrology everyone says that it would be Taurus right now, we're actually entering Taurus. The first day will be on Saturday. So that's a big change. So I use this system to be a guidepost, to be a map for your life purpose, for the best ways for you to make money, the best type of relationships. And then I look at energy healing. So I have over 15 years of literally figuring out how to heal myself from, I don't know if you can relate, a challenging family life, trying to figure out who I was and my purpose. And this system has been so transformational for me that I'm just here because I want to share it and I want to give people tools.
Yeah, and I want to reiterate that too, and I love that I appreciate you saying that. Here we're not trying to diagnose, we're not trying to say we cure any type of disease. We're not saying that we could predict futures or anything like that, but we're just using the tools that have been here for thousands and thousands of years to help, like you said, be guideposts, to be ways in which we can heal and maybe use it as, like you said, make different decisions in our lives.
Yeah, yeah. And I was thinking about this today, right, as someone who gives guidance and advice. And I just wanted to affirm and reiterate that I don't have the answers. The answers that we're all seeking are literally within us. And anyone that we go to or work with is simply supposed to be like a support system, of like an affirmation system, shining that attention back onto you, to you having the answers within you. But maybe these are some tools that can help you get to them faster.
Yeah, I think the other thing that you have also helped me and others with is opening that intuition.
Yeah.
We suppress that,
Yeah.
and we have that as children. And believe it or not, I think we don't even sometimes consciously aware that we use it.
Right.
But to be aware of it and opening that up, I know that is something that you have helped, even taking me to the next level.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd really blame that on nature and my mom taking me out of school, as I mentioned before, on the eclipse, on solstice and equinoxes, to go hiking. And me not understanding it then, like no idea what was happening or why we were doing this. But now I look back and I'm like, wow, when I was shown it was important, now I get it. Now I understand.
And funny you should mention that. So we're going to talk a little bit real quick about, that's a nice lead in.
Yeah.
To, we have lots of those things coming up this next few weeks.
Yeah, and I'm so excited because you were like, why don't we do something about the eclipses? And I was like, okay, yeah. And so I've actually started studying it a little bit with my astrological background, and it's incredible. So the way that eclipses work is a little bit like bookends, and there are 4 a year, every year, 6 months. So it's 2, and then 6 months later, 2. There's a lunar, a solar, and a lunar and a solar.
Okay.
And they happen on the new moon and on the full moon. So new moon, full moon set here, new moon, full moon set here. And so between these 6 months periods are like large blocks of transformational power. And then you can utilize a sidereal astrology chart to see by sign of what the moon is in, how is this eclipse going to affect you personally? In what area of your life is it going to highlight or bring to life? And Sunday is the lunar eclipse in sidereal Libra, interestingly.
Okay.
I thought it was Scorpio. It's actually Libra. Do you know much about that sign, Kim? Are you familiar with it?
Well, as Libra is what I thought I was. I know you're so funny. Yes, I do. I thought my whole life I was Libra, or on the cusp of Libra and Virgo. And then when I met you, you're like, oh no, girl, you are Virgo.
Right. Well, it's not your fault, because Western astrology bases it on where the sign was 2,000 years ago. And for whatever reason, the mainstream hasn't gotten the memo that the star's location has changed. And so the system I use is based on what we can see in the sky at the moment of your birth, as accurate as possible. And so the eclipse coming up on Sunday is going to highlight themes of relationship, right? And balance and partnerships. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. Okay. So one thing I've been wanting to share with people in an astrology chart, like the key thing that has changed my life that most people have never even heard of, is something called the North and the South Node, or karmic destiny, or, some call it the North Star, or the past. So I equate the South Node with the past. It's the parts of us we've already explored, and the North Node with the parts we're guided to achieve and go towards. And it's sort of like a quick pass of what is our destiny? What are we here to really work on and to grow with and learn from? And so I learned today that the eclipses, because there's so much of an interaction between the sun and moon and the earth, actually are also connected to the north and south nodes.
Oh.
So, ironically, incidentally, the south node up in the sky right now, like if we were to calculate it, because it's a point, would be in Libra. And the full moon and the eclipse is going to be in Libra on Sunday. And so that's like all issues of relationship, but it's the south node. So it would be all issues of the past relationships, past contracts. And that could be partially why we did have a Mercury retrograde yesterday. Welcome, everyone. That could be partially why old stuff from the past around relationships could be coming up for you or me or anyone else. But what I love about using astrology as a system, as a tool, is there are 12 houses in a chart. Each of these houses relates to one facet or area of your life. So relationships is the 7th house, and career is the 10th house, and money is the 2nd house. 3rd house is communication. So you look to see what sign you have on your chart, and you look to see what sign the full moon and the eclipse are going to be. And then you can discern what area, like an acupuncture treatment of my body or life, is being affected by this super big energy activation. Because think about it. You're having the light of the moon literally dimmed for like an hour period, it's almost like an initiation or a gateway portal into one thing to the next. And so it's like a birth has the beginning, middle, and end. So does an eclipse. And so it's like a potent moment of transformation for us on Earth. And that's why we feel it coming. Literally feel it for weeks sometimes before it starts.
Sometimes for me, right, and even women, we have cycles too and everything. And so that's what really kind of got me really tapped into this. I've only heard about the North and South Node a few years ago. And so that's why when I connected with you, I was so excited to have more knowledge on it. But for me, the guidepost for me is if I know something's coming, or if I know potentially there could be something coming, it makes me aware. And so it's a tool for me to say, okay, if this comes up and I feel that activation or trigger or whatever word they want to use these days, it allows me to say, okay, I know what's going on here. And then I've already made a choice of how I want to deal with it.
That's right. And I have to thank you, because I was actually like feeling, because I notice energy, I sense sensation, I feel someone's energy if I go into a room, and a lot of people can probably relate to that.
Yes.
And I was feeling something, and I was like, what is that? Like, I was just like, I know there's an eclipse coming, I know there's a full moon coming, but I couldn't quite place it. And I started researching the eclipses and how, you want to look at what sign and house it is in your chart. And I finally thought about it today. And that instant where I realized what area of my life it was going to be affecting, oh my God, it was like all the lights went on. And I was like, of course, that's what's happening. Like, and it gave me permission to be like, now it's time to focus on that area of my life and like allow it to be important for a moment, right? Because sometimes we're so caught up in the daily this, and I need to do this, and I need to do this, but then you can make space for it. And then you can utilize the other tool I want to share with people, which is energy healing, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I stumbled upon that one out of necessity. But it's very powerful. And I worked with you, Kim, recently, and I'm just curious, what would you recommend to people? Like, why would energy clearing be helpful?
So I technically found out at about probably 12, 15 years ago, and it was just on accident. And, starting, because I'm a kind of a science geek, right? I did a lot of teaching of biology, so I know a lot about, substituted for biology courses and different things and chemistry. And so I really got really involved in that aspect of it. When I did that an energy clearing with you, we have aches and pains and, things. And I feel so healthy most of the time, right? Maybe I'll get tired because I'm doing too much or I'm not paying attention. But having that experience with you, I didn't know what to expect going into it, right? And I told you that. I'm like, I'm open to anything, right? Some people are not open, and that's okay. But I was open to anything. And so, I went through that process that you took me through, and it was very simple, right? Very simple.
A lot of breath, a lot of getting in touch with the feeling, and yeah.
Yeah. But I also noticed there was a kind of a pain, not a pain, but something on my body I'd push on. And I
Yeah.
was like, it was kind of sore, but I was like, okay, that's just because probably need to lose some weight or this or that. But when we went through that, there was a release. There was water. My eyes were very watery. I wasn't crying. It wasn't emotional. But I also had that part of my body, that thought came to my mind, and I pushed on. I was like, oh wow, that's like 90 to 95% gone. And so I also know we have trapped emotions, right? When we go through trauma, when we go
That's right.
through things, and we trap things in our bodies, and
That's right.
people don't realize that.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can even be carrying ancestral trauma, because they found scientifically that when someone in your ancestry went through a traumatic event, that trauma, fear, sadness, grief, literally affects DNA. And then that DNA is then passed down through the family line. And then we show up with something shifted in our DNA because of that early trauma. So that's one reason this type of energy work can be so powerful. But I wanted to kind of ground this for all of us, because it's like the stars and energy, and it's like, where's the science, where's the relatability for this? So
Yes.
since the eclipses are tied to the cycles of the moon, the solar eclipse is tied to the new moon, and the lunar eclipse is tied to the full moon. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that cycle of the moon actually affects life in a pretty profound way. So we'll start with the full moon. And so the full moon, we all know, is like time of intensity.
Mm-hmm.
And astrologically, it's known as the time of completion, right? It's the fruition. Just as like a mama when she's pregnant and her belly is so big, right? The moon is so big and there's so much energy and light.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've all heard that the moon affects the tides.
Yes.
The water, it actually creates the tides itself. And if you know anyone who's worked in a hospital, like I've known several doctors who work in hospitals, or nurses, you can ask them, what is it like on a full moon? And they will tell you it's crazy.
Yes.
They'll be like, oh, okay, I have to go into work. Everyone's complaints are going to be acting up. So I've been very curious, like, why is this? Why does the moon affect us in this way? So I want to take you out to the garden. Okay? You
Mm-hmm.
ready? You can brush off your shoes and just like find the dirt, and maybe we'll pour some water and plant some seeds. So what's happening out in nature to our plants at the full moon? Do you know? It's
No.
fascinating. Okay, so everything that has water, our physical bodies, the ocean, the plants are affected by the moon. So at the full moon, all of the water in a plant, they also call it sap, right?
Yes.
Literally rises up to the top of the plant. It's amazing. So
Wow.
at the same time that that's happening to the plant, what's happening to the human body? Because aren't we like made of water or something?
Probably like 89% or something like that. Some high number.
We're all water. So the moon is literally drawing our blood and all of the water in our body up to the surface of our skin, to the top,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's why full moon, everything is more intense. We feel things more intensely, emotions. Incidentally, like you were saying, that the emotions get trapped in the body. Well, guess what else gets brought up to the surface? All of our past emotions, our trauma, our fears, our doubts, all of it comes up.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why doing energy clearing. So we can be empowered or we can be overwhelmed,
Yes.
right? We can
Yes.
can't handle it, or we can find tools. And that's where I found energy clearing. And energy clearing is like 3 simple steps. We just want to identify the issue, right? We want to tune into it.
Yep.
We want to connect to the energy of it. And then what do? We connect to the most powerful energy on earth, which is love.
Love.
Which is God, right? Which is source, which is, the higher power. We connect to that infinite love that is what radiates through all of creation. And then you can transform anything. It's like a dark room. As soon as you turn that light on, everything is illuminated.
So,
and then
yeah, I'm going to tell you, I have people who are going to be thinking right now, okay, Lotus, this seems way too simple, right?
Right.
So how did the skeptical person who says, this is just too simple, I sit here, I say a few things, I do a few things, how can that work? Do you have
Well,
skeptical people? I'm not saying
yeah.
this word.
Yeah. Well, I think we've all had the experience of being in a bad mood, being upset, having a hard day, and then we go around someone we love, okay? And we talk with them and we share. We maybe share how we're feeling, so we identify the feeling, right? 2, we kind of connect to the energy of love we share with that person. And then 3, what happens? What's the result? What's the outcome? We normally feel better, right?
Right.
Now, here's the issue. Most of us aren't talking about the stuff that's coming up on the deep stuff, right? Because it's not really socially appropriate to be like, okay, I'm going to tell you my deepest stuff right now in our conversation over tea, right? Maybe the right people. We have to find the right friends, right?
Yeah, right. You want someone that holds space for you.
Yeah. And so, I have my background in psychology. I have a BA in psychology. I think half of healing is simply being held in the space of love and having the ability to share your story and to share where you're at, and then to be held in that and to be supported. Energy tools are just kind of like the system or the method or the structure of taking so if we're all energy, frequency, and vibration, a negative energy cannot exist at the same time as a positive energy. So we're simply bringing the positive energy of love, of space holding, of connection, and we're it's sort of like we're empowering it with specific steps. It's like we're taking that process of healing and making it streamlined for the outcome we're seeking. That's what all of these energy systems are, is concentrating, focusing, and streamlining that process of healing, which can happen as simply as walking into a room full of people you love, and suddenly your heart's uplifted and you feel better, and you're like, like, I didn't have to worry about that. That wasn't such a big issue anyways.
Yeah, I've always told my family from day one, if I'm feeling overwhelmed or if I'm feeling anxious, literally the best way to diffuse me is put your arms around me.
That's right. Yeah. Incidentally, I've heard, are actually 2 types of people. And there's all kinds of people, right? This is just a very specific categorization. One type of person is very physical, and they love touch, and you can just soothe them immediately through touch. And there's another type of person who isn't as, like, they might like touch, but what they're really soothed by is conversation, and their minds need that connection.
Okay.
And so I think between those 2 types, you can find resolution using either touch and care, right? Or for this other type of person, maybe you have a conversation where you hold space for them, right? You just hold space. So we all get there. There's different ways. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So And then we have comments, so I have to bring those people in.
Yay!
So, April, Lotus is amazing. It's changed my life so much. Forever grateful.
Oh my
She
gosh.
really does. Yeah. And
Love you
Samantha.
guys. Oh my gosh. Yay.
Thank you,
Yay,
Samantha.
Kim.
Yeah, that's why I brought you on. I wanted there to always be there's so much information,
There
and
is.
you have 15 years of experience, and
Yeah.
like you proved today that you're still learning.
Yes.
So many people here on the show have been coming to you. I've started coming to you, and there's just a lightness that comes from that experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I'd say my biggest gift to people is that I had the privilege of connecting to nature and to that oneness. When you go out on a beautiful day, oh, there's the door. Look, you can see my background. The wind just blew it all open. Hallelujah, here I am.
it happens.
Essentially,
Keeps
yeah,
going.
the wind today has been wild. Like,
Oh, here too.
you too? Okay. Okay. So the biggest gift I have, and I think nature wanted to come in the door, is
Right?
the oneness that exists out in nature. Like, you're sitting in the garden and the bees are buzzing and the flowers are blooming and the sun is shining. Maybe you take off your shoes, you put your feet in the mud, and that's joyful, right? And so every issue or challenge is an opportunity to grow. And
Yes.
sometimes we just need our hand literally held to walk through those gateways or those places that we've been afraid to go by ourselves.
Yeah.
But our healing is it's so natural. It's innate. It's a gift. If you smell a flower, if you look at a tree, look how healthy and aligned and perfect all of those beautiful creations are. And that's what we are as well.
Yeah. I told you about doing walks every day. And what I've observed is there's so many lessons in nature. And I'm going to start posting about that because I've learned just observing. And it's almost like nature wants to talk to you as well. And more people you talk about the feet in the grass. I was on my walk the other day, and this woman we passed, on this path, and then I came back around, and she had her feet off, and she was walking in the grass.
Yes. Yeah, it's growing. There's definite scientific evidence that when we take our shoes off, we go outside, we take in that fresh air, we ground like an electrical cord. If it's not grounded in a house, that's very dangerous, right? Our bodies are electrical. Our nervous system is an electrical system.
Yes.
And so when we take our shoes off, we literally ground the electricity of our body, and then we're more powerful and potent for every area and aspect of our life.
Yeah,
for sure.
My sister recommended me get this grounding pad. And
Yeah.
And okay, still, I should not be skeptical, but I'm like, really? But
Yeah.
you plug it into your ground part of your electrical outlet.
Yep.
And I've been using it for 5 nights now, and it's skin to skin.
Oh, cool.
And I wake up with less, aches and, whatever. And I am like more energy in the day. I'm feeling better. And I'm like, okay, we've got to start getting this information out and have it be more readily available.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that the biggest cause of dis-ease is disconnection from nature.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, you just said disconnect. Look at this. Rubber shoes, another way to disconnect us from ourselves.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. Yeah. And so I think so many of us are waking up to this reality and starting to realize, like, as an astrologer, following the cycles of the seasons, like the new moon to the full moon, what types of energies those are. And I just wanted to share with you, I think I've said this before, but the new moon is the best time to set intentions. So like if you have a vision or a dream or a goal you're wanting to manifest, the new moon is the dark time. Just like the dark soil is the best time to plant a literal seed in the garden, the new moon is the best time to plant your seed for what you want to create. And then follow that forwards to the full moon 2 weeks later that's fruition time. That's time to like, what did I grow? What did I plant? Did my seed come up? Do I need to move it to another location? Do I need to water it more? Do I need to plant a new seed? What is it?
Yeah.
So we're coming up to a full moon, Kim. And I just want to recommend to everyone, like if there's stuff coming up, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can even do something as simple as this. Would you want to just show them our little clearing technique for fun?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So if any of you are watching this and you want to join us and you've had a stressful day or anything at all is going on emotionally for you, I found that this physical technique of getting your energy moving is very powerful. The hands are connected. There's meridians in our hands that connect to every organ in the body. So when we do this, we're starting to move energy. So go ahead, if you want, you join us and just rub your hands together. And I like to imagine that we're building a fire, right? Mm-hmm. And if we're sad, we can imagine that heat is warming up our hearts and warming up our spirits, right? And if we're stressed, we can just imagine all that stress can leave our body. It can leave our thoughts and our minds and just all the levels and layers of our being, right? And you can breathe and breathe out. And let's just build a fire for all of us. Let's imagine that any stuff that's being brought up from the full moon, right? All the water rising to the surface, all the old stuff, all the old energy. Let's just imagine we can put it into our hands. Okay, everyone? Mm-hmm. And I'd like you to take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Good. And you're just allowing any stress or tension from your neck, from your shoulders, from your mind, your brain, your heart, your emotions, your home, your car, your bills you have to pay, your future, your direction, your purpose, just put it in there. And then take a deep breath in. And we're going to take all this stuff, all that stuff, and we're just going to give it to the earth and let her compost it and fertilize it. Because the fertilizer, all that compost, is actually what allows the flower to blossom and to grow. So utilize it for your growth.
My hands are tingling.
Yes, that's right. You've activated all the physical meridians. You've breathed. And you don't have to you're sitting in a chair. So many of us are on Zoom calls or sitting in chairs all the time. And we're like feeling overwhelmed energetically. Just do this. Just take it like stress, like putty, roll it in your hands. Let it go. It's important. Yeah, it's important to breathe. You want to breathe in and just feel it in your shoulders, feel it in your body, and then let it go, right? Yeah, and then Kim's moving her shoulders. That always happens after energy clearing, is that it literally moves the energy.
Goes
and you feel lighter and yawning. So everyone, yawning is a physical sign of energy release. Hallelujah. I say praise the Lord, hallelujah, when I see those yawns come. Because I know that you're releasing things that no longer serve you. You're getting lighter. Like, doesn't you feel a little shift just from that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And like I said, so let's do a little recap. So because we it's so easy for us to get all over the place. So let's just do a little bit of a recap. So we have the eclipses, right?
Yes.
And they mirror the sun and the moon.
And the
north and south node.
North and south node, and the new moon and the full moon. Okay.
Got it. So then we go so we're coming into full moon. So I'll let you recap it.
Yeah. So essentially there are 4 eclipses per year. And there's a solar eclipse and a lunar eclipse. The solar eclipse is always connected to the new moon. And what is the new moon? It's the seed planting time. It's intention setting. It's the new beginning. Then you come to the full moon, and that's always the lunar eclipse. And there's always 2 together. So first will be the solar eclipse with the new moon. 2 weeks later, there will be the lunar eclipse with the full moon. And this is based on fruition. This is completion. This is when you're like, okay, things are coming to a place where I'm seeing the manifestation. I'm seeing what came out of maybe even 6 months ago from the last solar
eclipse. Is in a more intense.
They are, and they're longer lasting. So, like a new moon is that powerful intention setting time.
Mm-hmm.
The eclipse at the new moon, so the new moon is typically going to last 2 weeks to the full moon. You see, it's like a 2 week period.
Yes.
But the eclipse is a 6 month period. So it's a new moon, right? So the next new moon solar eclipse, I invite everyone to
Yes.
utilize it as a really powerful intention setting time of like, okay, if I could create or manifest anything in the next 6 months, what would it be? Like, where would I put my focus? What would I love to do? What would I love to create? Right?
Yeah.
And then
Right.
with the full moon, lunar eclipse, that's like a fruition and a completion. And I guess you could say, well, what am I ready to like let go of from the
Mm-hmm.
past? Right? Because I think the solar eclipse new moon is more connected to the north node, which in astrology is our karmic destiny. It's where we're going towards. It's like the North Star. So it's more like the new forward motion. And the lunar eclipse and the full moon is more like the south node in the past. And like, what are we letting go of? And it can also bring things up from the past.
Yeah.
So it's a good time to kind of like, okay, what was there before that in this next 6 months I can really let go of? What am I like ready to like release for the next 6 months?
And
Or
then every month during that 6 months, we get a chance to just keep refining that.
Exactly. And each new moon is based on a different sign in the astrological chart, right? So is it in Aries, which is going to be about leadership? Is it in Libra, which is about partnership? And then personalize it as in what area of your chart specifically is that sign, right?
So are you going to so if someone says, okay, I want to work with you, Lotus, how do I work with you? Do you have any classes? Is there something I can, get with you on?
Yeah, I am finalizing the details. I'm pretty sure I'm going to do a class on the 23rd of June.
Okay.
I'm still nailing down the details on that. But I do want to empower people to not only know how to read their own astrology chart, but then maybe go deeper into what are the astrological signs right now, like at that class, and how are they affecting you personally?
Okay.
And how can you utilize that to create a life that you want? And are there energy blocks collectively in the group or more individually that need to be clear to get to your goal? So I think what I'm going to streamline it to is really focusing on the north and south node in people's chart and giving like a really quick, like, this is the purpose in your chart. This is what your chart says. Your
That's
life
a
purpose or
great
life
place to
work
start.
is.
Yeah.
It's so big and yet it's so profound, and it's like one thing as opposed to like there's so much you could focus on.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I know there's a lot there, and I think this is a great place to start. And I know I will be in that class, so I'm super excited. But if they want to be on your mailing list, it's the Lotus Method now at Gmail right here in front of you. So make sure you email Lotus if you want to be on the list to get in that class, because that class will fill up fast. I know for a fact. So if you've got to be on that list. So the minute she releases that, will they be able to get their chart during this class as well?
Yeah, there'll be, I think, just a small fee to get your chart, and then I can send it to you and you can have it and be ready to learn about yourself and your purpose and why you're here. And you already know why you're here. It's like God-given.
Yep, we do.
But it's helpful to have it discussed in terms that are more understandable, more easily accessed, more easily chewed on, right? Like, okay, you might do well with finances. Oh, that's helpful.
Yeah.
You're very personable. You should work with people. Like, yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
All that stuff.
Nope. All I know is when I had my session with you, it was very, very aligned with what I already knew.
Right.
And
that's how it should be.
Yep.
That's
Absolutely.
100% what I'm here to do. It's kind of like a mirror. I just want to be here, hold up a mirror. Sometimes we forget who we are. And some of
Yes.
us like are born with a deeper challenge in this area. And I just see my job as to hold up the light for you to remember who you are and to feel supported to be that, right? Because
Yes.
God made us the way we are on purpose. Like, we're not here on accident. Like, we're perfect the way we are, who we are. Of course, we
Yes.
can grow and get better, but we're here as a
Yeah.
gift.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for coming today. I wish we could just keep going on and on and on, but I love tools. I teach tools, and
Right.
if I can just keep connecting with people like you and keep receiving more and more tools, I think we can, help, all help each other. Um,
Yeah.
oh, we got another. So looking forward to my private session with you, Lotus. Great. Oh,
Oh,
thank you. We love
I
you
love
too,
you all. I'm
Renate.
so grateful. You're all so sweet. I'm so touched.
I think you guys are now tied. You and Renate are now tied for the amount of time you've been on my show. We need to have you both on together next time.
Yeah, that would be fun. I would love to see a
Yeah.
conversation between us three. That would be quite something.
You know what? I have stopped doing those week long sessions with multiple days, and I'm getting ready to start that up again. So I definitely miss doing that. So
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah, you do such a great service to bring us all together. I really
thank you.
appreciate you, Kim.
It's lots of power here, and I'm so honored and grateful to be associated with you, Lotus. So thank you.
Oh, yes, yeah, my pleasure.
All right. I love doing what I do. And you can tell that my guests love what they do. And that's why I choose who comes on the show in the way I do. If you are interested or know of someone that would like to be on Coffee with Kim, please reach out to me. Go to coffeewithkim.com. My email is there. We would love. I'm always looking for new people that want to share their message, convey what they do love and want, and you want to be celebrated. If you're doing what you love, you definitely want to be celebrated and be able to connect with people who have what you have to offer. So, hope you have a great day, and we will talk with you soon.